Dear friends, architects, HVAC consultants, and my student of MEP classes. This particular module 27 is about HVAC and acoustics in auditorium and conference room. Dear friends, classification building acoustics, brief description and example of spaces involved. The auditoria building may be used for acoustics for speech, acoustic for music, and acoustics for multipurpose hall. The acoustic for speech relates to speech with foremost objective of intelligibility. A space should have relatively lower reverberation time for speech. Generally, it covers narrow range of frequency spectra in the lower mid-level about 170 to 4000 Hz for an average dynamic range of 42 dBA. These acoustic for speech examples are classroom, lecture halls, conference halls, recital halls, assembly halls, courtroom, auditorium for speech. The second category is acoustics for music. It involves music with prime objective of liveliness, of reverberance, intimacy, fullness, clarity, warmth, brilliance, texture, blend, and ensemble. Music may include instrumental and vocal melody, or either of the two. A space requires relatively higher reverberation time for music. Generally, it involves broad range of frequency spectra, about 50 to 8500 Hz, for an average dynamic range of about 75 dA. The acoustic for music involves music practice, booth, rehearsal rooms, band rooms, listening booth, orchestra, concert hall, symphony hall, cathedral, etc. Friends, the third category of spaces involved is acoustic for multipurpose. It includes both speech and music acoustic to fulfill objective of both at rationally compromised level. Acoustic design of a multipurpose space is quite challenging as the design objective and measure vary remarkably for speech and music. For example, there is a significant variation in desired reverberation time of a space for speech and music. This particular multipurpose hall used in multipurpose hall, cinema, theater, opera house, mosque for speech and melodious recitations, church and temples. Friends, some useful definitions with respect to auditoria. Auditoria is an enclosure covered or open where people can assemble for watching a performance given on the stage. Cinema. An auditorium where the performance is in the form of pictures projected on a screen with or without the accompaniment of scenic atmosphere. Next is conference hall, a hall intended for use by participants, sometimes with not, non-participating audience also. That means absent people in a discussion or deliberation of a topic in the form of speech or conversation made by one person at a time seated anywhere in the hall. Crush hall, the first entrance hall, sometimes provided in addition to foyer outside the main hall for purpose such as buying tickets, waiting, etc. Aisle, the gangways left within and around the sitting area for walking into or out of a group of seats to be continued. Friends, some more definitions. Backstage wall, the wall at the back of the stage facing the audience. The backstage wall may also be called cyclorama when it is given a special shape for providing the ultimate background for scenic effects. Next is podium, space just behind the apron where solo speaker orates. Apron, semicircular front of stage. Lobby, passage or small anteroom into which one or more rooms open. Loggia, a space protruding balcony having not more than 7 seats. Proscenium, the total opening between the stage and the house through which the audiences witness a performance on the stage. Proscenium overhang, the front area of the proscenium that is uh, still visible to the audience when the curtain is lowered. It includes the curtain and arch of the framework of that holds it. Vomitory comes from the Latin word vomitorium, referring to an opening that allows a crowd to exit an amphitheater or open theater or stadium quickly that was used to facilitate public movement in the vast arenas and amphitheaters such as vomitories of Colosseum in Italy. Friends, this schematic provides the various parts of a uh, stage. The stage has got a front area which is known as apron, and just behind the apron there is a podium where a person goes and speaks. Behind it is downstage. This stage may be covered by pardas of several times. Then this particular is the acting or playing area. Stage on the right and stage on the left. Then there is a crossover area. Friends, now on to cyclorama. A cyclorama is a large curtain or ball, often concave, positioned at the back of the stage area. It was popularized in the German theatre of 19th century and continues in common usage today in theatres throughout the world. A CYC can be made of unbleached canvas or muslin, smaller version. Filled screen popularized on the Broadway in the 20th century. Or seamless, translucent plastic often referred to as opera basic. The cyclorama can also be a plain cloth or plastered wall filling the rear of stage of TV studio, often used as a sky backing to the traditional set or as the main backing for the dance piece. Friends, now foyer. Foyer is a part of the front of house area of the theatre into which the audience first arrives on entering the theatre. Hall in front of the entrance in which the audience may wait before actually entering the house. The foyer normally contains box office, toilets, entrance to auditorium, bar, concession and merchandising stand. Friends, following facilities are normally available in the auditorium. Soundproof hall with acoustic and sound reducing furnishing and panels. Second, backstage air conditioned green rooms. Third, foyer, toilets, cafeteria and press room. Fourth, digital sound reinforcement system with feedback illuminators. Fifth, multimedia projection facilities, cyclorama, we have already discussed. Stage furnishing with motorized curtains and cyclopedia projection screens. 7. Computer controlled stage lighting. 8. Computerized management of stage functions. 9. Cafeteria for refreshment services. 10. Fire detectors, alarm with extinguishers and smoke and flame detectors. 11. Emergency exit light, standby power supply with diesel generators. 12th, physically challenged friendly facilities including access. Friends, this is the real AutoCAD drawing showing various parts of auditorium. Now auditorium has got a stage and by the side green rooms on both the sides. Then we have a stage. Then this is the sitting area and at the end transition booths of several types including press room, control room, etc. then gallery and entrances. Friends, this is a real life 1300 capacity Birla auditorium. Now it has several acoustic treatments, including this one, this, and several here. Friends, this particular diagram shows plan and elevation of a large auditorium system. Now this is the stage, this is main hall, then background facilities, and in the elevation it is like this. It contains one balcony area. Friends, this shows a detailed AutoCAD drawing of an auditorium. Per tier refers to the real section of seats on the main ground floor. Now, this is the auditorium and various parts are shown here. Here is the proscenium box. Then this is the apron area. There is a arbor pit where musicians and other people can sit, which will not come in view of watchers. Then we have other. This is the 4 stage. This is the sound and light lock. This one is the orchestra. This is known as front of house. Here is a control room. Friends, this is a real life diagram of air conditioning arrangement on stage and main hall of Income Tax Office, Bajalpur, Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is already having an income tax office, and this was a newly created ITO income tax office, of which I was MEP in charge. Now, this particular diagram shows the air conditioning outlets here, the air conditioning outlets on the stage. Now, friends, this is about seating capacity and space requirement. The amount of space required for each auditorium depends on a number of factors, but the figure below provides an approximate guide. The calculations are based on a model design using 1.1 to 1.2 meters from seat back to seat back and 550 to 600 seat width. For 200 seat, we require approximately constructed area of 275 square meters. For 100 feet, it is 190 square meter. For 75 seats, it is 125 square meter. These 75 seats are generally used in the medical colleges auditorium. The number of screens and auditorium capacity depend on many factors, ranging from audience potential estimates, and programming run that is planned to the finance available and characteristic and size of the site of building. In general, one medium or large auditorium seating at least 150 people is required. Typical capacity is around 200 to 236. This auditorium should be able to accommodate the peak audiences at weekends. People turned away from a full house may not return. Friends, now on background noise. Background noise is all the sounds one hears when the lecturer is not saying something. There are three types of background noise. Just sit and listen in most any meeting space and you can distinguish first operational system noise, second including outside noise, and third self-generated audience noise due to clothing of listeners. In order to achieve a strong signal to background noise, the background noise has to be reduced to as quiet as possible. The operating system includes all things that operate in order to accommodate the occupancy of the auditorium. Friends, this particular diagram shows recommended optimum reverberation time for spaces of various usage. You can see on the x scale volume of the room in meter cube and on y the reverberation time for different applications. We start from speech, Bangla speech, then speech. This is the range. Then vocal music operation in this range. Then theater, this one. Friends, now basics of auditorium design. The generally ambient noise level for an empty good auditorium would be about 25 to 30 dBA. This noise is the sound of the hall when everything is turned on, lights, air conditioning, and even the sound system. The only thing that it is not happening is that someone is not talking in the mic, into the mic. Only a fair good sound meter can measure sound levels this low. Then we open the doors and audience moves into the hall. The background noise level rise up to 35 dBA decibels absolute because of the breathing and other rustling that people naturally do. It is a well-established fact of human behavior that in a group we collectively manage to make just a little more noise than the background noise level. That is why we act quietly in a library and noisily in a packed diner. The natural noise floor of the hall itself should be at least 20 to 30 decibel quieter than the speaker level heard at the seats throughout the entire frequency range of speech. Friends, this sketch shows the decibels and background noise floor level. Minimum level has to be 45 dB. The mean level has to be 65 dB, and there has to be a headroom of 65 to 85 for peak levels. This particular is the dynamic range for speech.